La, 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 la. La, la. I'm going to start with that. Right? So, welcome. Welcome to our Drag Race UK Season 2, Episode 1 chat. Lovely Trixie is still with us, which is great. And
or if you haven't watched the other one, you've been joined by the lovely Trixie.
Yeah, I'm just all about me, obviously, and my perspective. I have my RuPeter badge on.
You can't really
see. It's a bit when I move back, a bit when I sit back,
yeah.
Isn't it? There we go. Now this is they've not. There's no like paid promotion going on here or anything. But if you would like your own RuPeter badge, you can just buy them on the World of Wonder website. You don't have to try and get on the show and win a bugger. So you know, I've not stolen this off of bag of chips or anything like that. It's like,
you never know. Never know. I could win one or a couple next year. But we'll see.
Like I've said, if I get my way, you will. But I mean, perhaps the ones you win are bigger. I don't know. So here we are, a new season of the UK. So the first task was a standard first task. It was the photo shoot, blah 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 blah. It was okay, but it was what it was. So we're not really going to go into that right now. So we're going to move on to just direct to the runways. So Joe Black from Brighton, who I think represents a very certain sector of the community, certainly of, you know, when you look at Brighton, London, places like that.
He very much is clearly a bit like, obviously we've just finished doing our review of the latest episode of US Drag Race. And obviously we talked about one of the Drag Race queens on there, which is Tamisha Rahman, who is an old queen. She, sort of, she's 49. Obviously comes from a very particular demographic. Joe Black is probably that equivalent for the UK queens. He's clearly older.
Yeah.
He probably comes from.
I don't think he actually was when he mentioned his age. I remember just thinking
but he certainly embodies that sort of older style of drag, which is very much about the putting on. I suppose for me, it's like putting on a show, like a performance or cabaret type act, really, in a way. You know, be it down at your local gay bar or your local gay pub or whatever it might be, as opposed to some of the more sort of runway-y, sort of playing with gender type sort of drag that we're starting to see. You know, people like from the first season. I'm really rubbish at the name, so apologies. But the kitty one.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kitty cat.
Yes,
the straight one that have been doing drag for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And got on the show,
and actually did quite well, as it turned out.
Second, didn't you?
But still, for how long have you been doing drag?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I have got that far? No.
Yeah. but you know, you've got that sort of style, and then you know, you've got the ones that are very much just pure. You know, we are fashion queens. We are this. You know, Joe, I think, is very much of that more all-round performer type style. To that, at least that's how he came across to me. Which unfortunately kind of did reflect in his runway looks.
I think he's very Dame-like. When you go see Panto, he's very. Oh, it could be like the fairy godmother or the genie. It's very that
makeup he had going on.
Yeah. With the hometown
Brighton
dress,
Pavilion.
I thought that was very camp.
Yeah.
And after what I've seen on Instagram, I don't think he should have gone.
Okay, interesting. I've not seen him on Insta, so what's there?
So basically, someone was saying about Michelle saying something that we needed to see something that was more that everybody knows.
Yeah.
As far as like David Bowie goes. So when he came out in that dress with the blue tuxedo dress, I was like, oh my god, that's David Bowie, like, you know. But she was saying, oh, it needs to be a different look that everybody recognizes, and instantly I knew that was David Bowie because of the orange hair and the blue suit.
Yeah.
And the pavilion is actually all gold on the inside. There's like, it's very eccentric and gold, and that's where he's taken it from, rather than
The
outside.
Yeah, because the outside is
white.
concrete.
White.
I know the outside.
White
I've never been
concrete, yeah.
inside. Oh, that's interesting. So there was actually way more. Okay, so is there inherently, as much as Ru and Michelle are massive Anglophiles, is there inherently then a problem when you've got American judges who might not? Because there was something else that was said that made me go, "Oh, you'd known that if you were British. No matter how much you spend over here, how much you love everything British." There was, I can't think for the life of me what it was, but there was something else that was said that made me go, "Well, no, a British person would have known that." If it comes to me, I'll mention it, but it probably won't. So, yeah, I liked it. I got the Bowie. I thought there was, I got it straight away, and I can pretty much picture that David Bowie in that as well, which worked for me. I didn't instantly get Brighton Pavilion until I looked at the hat.
No, I didn't.
And then once when I clocked the hat, it did look like that kind of domey thing that's there.
I mean, I can't, like, obviously I was in Brighton for about a year during my failed attempt to do university. So when he first walked on, obviously, again, knowing he's from Brighton, the first thing I said was, he's done Brighton Pavilion, but it should be white if he's just going for the, you know, the exterior look. But then again, you know, I got it mainly from the sort of the tiara shaping. But I think, you know, if you're not British, especially if you don't really know Brighton, you wouldn't necessarily have got Brighton Pavilion from that outfit. One thing I want to say, I mean, yes, I loved his David sort of Bowie look again, and it was playing with gender again, which is you know, absolutely what David Bowie was all about. I think I kind of get what possibly Michelle was going for, because especially when you were talking just now, Tom, the first thing I thought of when you were kind of recapping about she wanted something that was more iconically David, my brain immediately went to what she was wanting to see was probably something like Gillian Anderson doing Ziggy Stardust in American Gods, which again, props to Gillian Anderson, absolutely fucking nailed that look, and also the performance aspect. And I think what Michelle possibly was wanting was for someone like Joe Black to do a drag queen equivalent of that. But I think equally, I think he did it. He did it doing a different outfit.
I will say though, the second costume with the Brighton Pavilion, it was a tad bit costumey. Like, I think it could have been sort of.
It was Panto Walk Down, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. That's what I got from it, and that's why it reminded me of Brighton, because it's just camp. But I just feel like he could have come out in his entrance look for the workroom. He could have come out in that, and I would be like, "Oh, Brighton," because that's the stereotypical thing that you would see in Brighton, was the turban and the the glittery, sparkly dress with the big shoulders. That just reminds me of Brighton. But yeah, it is what it is.
My memories of Brighton are mostly leather bars, to be fair. So probably not quite fitting for drag. But you say that. But yeah. So there was, it was. I also think, while we're there, I don't think it should have been Jo that went home necessarily, even though there was a point where she stopped lip syncing and started acting, and I said to you, I don't know that's the wise. I get what she's doing. I get why she's doing it, but I don't know if it's the wisest decision when it's a lip sync challenge.
I see what she was trying. Because obviously, who's lip syncing against her? I can't remember.
One in the Norwich City outfit.
Bibbidi
Bobbidi Boo. Yeah,
I don't like her. But because she was doing the splits, he was trying to get down, because he's older, he's like taking the lift.
Yeah.
But no one got it, and I was like, that is hilarious. That is that's hilarious.
And I understand why you do it, but the fact that when she was in the lift, she stopped lip syncing.
You carry on the lip sync.
The words going. I think it would have made all the difference.
That's the issue, because we've seen a similar kind of approach that.
I'd like to keep it on, please.
Yeah. And not so much that. I mean, that was funny for a whole different reason. But nice one, Valentina. You've given us all a good chuckle with that, and so many memes as well, and indeed some COVID face masks now as well. So, cheers. But yeah, we've seen it in other sort of seasons of Drag Race, mainly obviously the US one because it's been running longer, but where you have some of the older queens who are more probably known for comedy than necessarily for lip sync or dance or whatever, who do something similar, but they keep the rhythm of the song going. They make it a comedy routine about the song. And that's where, for all that I loved what Joe was doing, and for all that when he first started doing it was in bits, because he didn't carry on the lip sync, it almost felt like you've actually fucked up this bit. You
don't know the words,
so you're now trying to cover it. And that does him a disservice because he was actually, trying to be very clever and reacting to who he's performing again, but it didn't translate well.
Really. So next up, I've got.
Tina.
Is that what that says? I can't read my own writing.
Because it's ass Tina.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
choreographer.
written her off Black Panther because out of drag, I think she's the spitting image of the girl who's the tech wizard, who's Black Panther's sister. Just my opinion. She did the Naomi Campbell rough dress.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a fan.
I liked it.
I liked it, but I feel like it could have been more sheer.
Yeah.
Because you could see, you could see all of Naomi's body, like you could see everything. And I just thought you need that bit extra, and it needs to be a bit more cinched in the waist, just so we get that wow, that's who you're doing.
And then the ASOS jacket that won her the challenge.
It's just
I was broken.
This is why you shouldn't bitch about other queens' outfits behind stage, other contestants, because sometimes it comes to bite you on the ass.
Honestly, I'm an ASOS queen, right? This sheer thing is from ASOS, but I just come on. I get it's London. I get it. I get she's meant to be a chav, but it wasn't drag. It was just a jacket from ASOS. Didn't spice it up or anything.
She was basically she just came out as oh God, I adore her on YouTube, and she does the Queen's speech. Crispy Bacon. What's her name? Lady Leisha. She came out as Lady Leisha. That's who she came out as. Who I fucking love. I love Lady Leisha, but I'm not sure she's someone to base a drag look on. I thought when she first came out, and it came out East End of London, I put way more thought into this than clearly existed. Because I turned around and went, oh, that's clever. Her jacket is the bricks of Brick Lane. And that wasn't it. I mean, do you know what I mean? And the thing is, you could have gone up there and she could have bullshitted that and it would have worked.
Yeah.
I think, though, and because this will also be relevant, so you shed some light on it, but this will also be relevant, obviously, when we talk about taste further down the line. So there's noises going on outside. Which is, just give a second while the camera adjusts there. Because obviously the whole point of this runway challenge is we each had to do a famous gay icon from the UK. And obviously, when Astina and Taste are talking about it, because obviously they're both performers of colour, that they actually had a very, very limited sort of field to choose from. Because they both ended up doing Naomi Campbell. And that was kind of, I mean, this doesn't really go anywhere, but it was kind of an interesting observation that, because we then sat down and had a quick 2-minute conversation where I was going thinking, well, yeah, who could they have done other than Naomi Campbell? Who was also a person of colour and important to the gay community in some way, shape or form, and couldn't really come up with anyone.
No. I was also quite surprised that, because as soon as they announced what the category was going to be, I was like, oh, who's doing Patsy Stone? And nobody did Patsy from AbFab.
Yeah.
I was honestly gobsmacked by that. I mean, maybe she's too obvious. Maybe that's why.
Or even just Joanna Lumley.
That would be my first choice. Not gonna lie. Imagine a massive, the biggest bouffant you can get.
Yeah, I mean, beehives of the gods.
With a nice, rhinestone white suit. Just that's
Yeah,
Good
fag
man
and a
on
bottle
me.
of Stolly, and you're done. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I was genuinely shocked no one no one went down that road. So yeah,
Shocking.
Ginny Lemon. Right now, I've got a name for Ginny Lemon, which is Elton Sue Pauline Biggins, because Elton John, Sue Pollard, Pauline off of the League of Gentlemen, and Christopher Biggins. I can't decide which one Ginny Lemon reminds me of most. It's just literally a mix of all of them.
It varies from outfit to outfit, to be fair.
Yeah. And then actually in the Talking Heads, I should also add a little bit of Kathy Burke.
Yes.
So Kathy Elton Sue Pauline Biggins, I bloody love, I absolutely adore. I just can't think of anything she's done, said, looked that I've not just gone, I can love it. Absolutely do it. So we had Kate Bush. Oh my God, I did not even think of Kate Bush, but yes. And the brilliant thing was when she came out as Kate Bush, the round thing they've got behind
was appropriate for
the outfit, because that's the album cover, isn't it?
Yes,
I want to say Kick Inside. Yeah, I was going to say Lionheart. I realised it was the wrong one. So it even kind of worked to the set that you wouldn't have even realised was going to be there. I adore.
And she got the hair, and again,
and the whole wondering. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned that dance in front of the television when I was 6 years old, when it was in the charts. It was probably one of the first hints my grandmother had. And but I
but not the last.
Not the last by any stretch. But yeah, I instantly saw it, and I was transported back to my nan's house in Gregory's Close in Luton. It was the day we moved in, right? I can remember it so clearly. The first thing they did was set up the telly, so they could put me in front of the telly, and Paul was out of the way then because the child's not running around. I move furniture, and I was transfixed, and it was straight away. I was there. Oh, it was marvelous.
That's what turned you gay, wasn't it?
It was,
Just being transfixed on.
You're transfixed on Kate Bush. I'm sure the best of us, love.
I did like Ginny Lemon as Kate Bush. I thought she thought of the outfit all the way down to the toes, apart from those jelly shoes.
Yeah.
I think that's
but
a
they
UK thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it worked. It did work, and I'm just gonna say she's the only queen in the history of Drag Race that's made me laugh when she walked into the workroom.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, when she just said, fancy a slice, I was like, it's just typical Ginny Lemon. But it's just, only one ever.
Yeah.
As far as the, I can't remember the drag queen, the drag king's look that she did.
Was that Worcester sauce jacket?
Yeah.
With almost like short shorts.
I just thought she looked like Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka.
Yes.
It wasn't. Yeah. I just didn't, obviously, because no one would know her unless they were big followers of the drag king. No one else would know her.
No.
I don't know who she was talking about. So I was like, who?
Yeah.
But I loved the look. I just thought pants on the runway, yes, for one. But I thought she was going to get red for that, having, she was wearing flats as well, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. So I thought Michelle was going to be like, why are you wearing a flat? But obviously they must have loved it.
Especially because she was wearing flats for the Kate Bush one as well. So
well, it was a little bit of a heel.
Sauce. Are we talking about someone else now?
Yeah, but I think she was wearing flats for Worcester sauce as well.
The drag king look. Are we talking about when what's her name came out as? Hang on, I'm lost. Who are we talking about?
Ginny Lemon.
Ginny Lemon.
Yeah.
Ginny Lemon came out as a drag king. So she was in the reds, the Worcester sauce, like.
Oh, that was okay. I missed the drag king thing. Right. Okay.
She was meant to be a drag king from
Worcester.
I don't know. Yeah. But I've never heard of this drag king.
No,
so
I
wouldn't
just
have
thought
got
it was the sauce. I'm surprised she didn't come out in an enormous bottle. Like properly, just the Worcester sauce bottle. That's what I don't know.
I've never heard of Worcester sauce being a gay icon, but she's gonna be now because you said it.
Depends what you put it on, love. You know what I'm saying? So moving on to tea or coffee, which,
be honest,
I didn't get the joke until they said it out loud. in mind, I'd like read up on these queens online beforehand. I didn't read it and
Did you read it as Tia Kofi? Like Kofi and Anne?
probably. I don't think I'd even tried to work it out. But when they said tea or coffee, I went, oh, I get that now.
I
No, I
don't.
never said I was the sharpest, right? So the Alan Turing suit, I thought was, I got it, but and I thought it was clever, but was a bit too male.
Yeah, for me it wasn't. I mean, yes, absolutely. You know, recognise someone like Alan Turing, who was, let's be honest, fucked over by the British government for all of the work
I'll be here all
that he
day.
did. So yes, so you know, props for that. Good choice. You know, absolutely. You know, integral to
But the thing is,
gay icon.
apart from my friend Nick, who the fuck can read binary to know that actually said something down the
Yeah. And that's the thing, it was a clever outfit. You know, the fact it was something in the Pride colours and it was all ones and zeros, even if you don't actually know what the ones and zeros are translated as, and we've only got his word for it, so that's what they do.
It could say you're a bunch of cunts.
Yes. So yes, very clever. And again, the whole breaking of the code chains at the beginning, also, you know, again, very clever. But for me, it wasn't drag enough. It was basically dressing up in slightly sort of colourful normal clothes.
I'd wear it to a Christmas party.
If she came out and said, or if she didn't say it was meant to be Alan Turing, I would have been like, what's that meant to be? If I was going to do Alan Turing for, you know, I would have done like a black finger wave, you know, like a short bob, black finger wave, and then I would have done like the British Army, like, you know, full suit. But then sort of dazzled it up a little bit and put diamantes everywhere. I just thought that would have screamed more Alan Turing than a rainbow flag and binary codes blazer.
You see, producers, this is why you should have Tom on season 3.
It just didn't look like Alan Turing to me.
No, I didn't.
It just looked like she was going to a Pride event for the, you know, she's a straight woman going to the Pride event.
Straight woman with no kids. And and for the Robin Hood, again, for me, it was Panto. It was Anita Harris in Northampton in 1986.
To me, it was a little bit cosplay.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It was your principal boy. It was sticking a girl in a girl outfit meant to be a boy in a panto. So if she'd walked out, slapped her thigh, we'd have all shouted, "Behind you!" It would have happened.
It was Sinbad.
It was Natalie Clacker's Sinbad.
Yes.
Natalie Clacker, another wonderful actress. Do we say actress these days, or is everyone actors?
Officially, it's actors. But...
It is, yeah, but yeah, Nat's. We love Nat, and we're hoping you're working for her again very soon. But it's a bit hush hush, so we can't talk about that, can we, Tom?
No.
Watch this space. That's all I'm saying.
Not necessarily this space, but
generally. Yeah. So next, I've got Bimini down.
Bimini Bombulash.
This is why I thought you meant by dragging the Princess Julia, blah blah blah, the tartan.
Yeah,
I've got no idea who that person is.
The one that I thought was some kind of weird. She was coming out as some kind of weird ass Susie Sue in fluffy slippers. One.
I genuinely thought that it was supposed to be Vivienne Westwood. Like, which that's what I got from it.
Because what came up later.
Yeah.
Like tartan, you know, with the chains. I was just like, oh, Vivienne. But then when they said Princess whoever, I was like, who?
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not from London, so I don't know who it is.
This has always been my thing, right? So obviously I grew up on the outskirts of London. I spent a lot of time, as you probably did too, as part of various London circuits in the 90s. And the London, try and get a London queen to step outside the M25. Fuck me, you've got a task on your hands. And it's all...
Trying to get a North London queen, you go to fucking South London.
They don't cross the river. What are you talking about? It will burn their soul.
It's vice versa as well. Try getting a South London queen to go north.
Well, you had that whole conversation about Clapham and something, didn't you? Yeah. And that just proved the point. The one from Clapham had no idea where the one from the East End was. And I'm like, Jesus Christ! We live outside Cardiff. I think nothing of going to Manchester if I want a good night out. I'll go for three and a half bloody hours just to get a poptastic. It's you know, when we could go out. Remember those days? So do you know what I mean? And but that's London. That London, it's so cosmopolitan in one hand and so insular on the other. I'm going to get a load of London queens trying to rinse me to shreds now, and
Fine.
don't care. Prove me wrong.
Because we will live there and we've experienced it.
Prove me fucking wrong, twat faces.
I possibly wouldn't go that far.
I love you all, really. Especially some of the bears. But anyway, oh, I'm in trouble.
We will be talking.
The row coming there. But
You can look but
anyway,
can't touch, Paul.
sorry, say again.
You can look but can't touch.
Exactly. I can look very close, but I can't touch. Like a 2 meter rule or something. So yeah, and then Bimini obviously came out in the Mankini Norwich City outfit,
Where you can see the
God awful. Awful.
I'm sure there's other things to do in Norwich. Well, Anglia Television. You know what? That's what I'd come out is now. I used to watch Anglia Television as a child. No, every morning when Anglia Television switched on, because kids, when I was young, the television only started in the morning when you got up. It wasn't on overnight. And so when Anglia TV used to start up, before they had like breakfast television, you used to get like a full half-minute, it's bound to be on YouTube, proper bit of classical music. And there was this silver statue of like an old knight on a horse that used to just revolve.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Right? I'd have come out as that. Fucking horse, knight, whole thing. That's what you should have done. Anglia Television. Then we had Lawrence Chaney. Now, Lawrence Chaney, I've got links to in a very tedious, I'm clinging to this way, because when I worked at Capital FM South Wales, my counterpart in Capital FM Scotland worked on a massive campaign for the subway system up there, and Lawrence Chaney was one of the people in the campaign, so I'm told. I know there was a drag queen in it. I couldn't have told you it was, but I'm told it actually was Lawrence, who came out as Emma Peel. Now, how brilliant is that? Going, I'm an enormous, you know, Scottish Glaswegian, who's, you know, quite clearly very, as you know, as I frequently am, sort of like, yeah, I'm fat, get on with it. But then comes out as a character who is known for like the skinniest catsuit ever. I think that was just brilliant. Yeah, I love
Iconic.
Oh, God. And for your first look, you know, and isn't Lawrence only like 23 or something?
25.
A baby, practically, in my eyes. And just holy shit. Knocked it out of the park.
And also, again, you know, very clearly nailing that self-deprecating sort of drag humour. The whole, you know, if Diana could see me now, she'd be saying, "What's that fat Scottish man doing, stretching my catsuit?" type thing. So again, you're obviously, you know, clearly is dealing with body issues in various ways, shape, and forms, aren't we all? For one thing or another, but also clearly knows a way to deal with that. But it also does interestingly tie into one of the things we saw earlier in the show with him. Because obviously you have the standard thing when they do the initial sort of catwalk walk on, and then obviously they have the de-dragging process.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He, having de-dragged, still had his face on.
And it was a confidence thing, right?
Yes, and it's that whole thing of, well, I don't want to take my face off because once I take my face off, I don't feel confident, you know. And it's literally you imagine that he would just be this like shy, retiring wallflower hiding in the background of a complete crumbled rag. But it's very interesting when you see how he comes across in his talking heads, where again, you know, he's not made up, you know, he hasn't got his face on while that's going on. But you sit and think, well, you've clearly got the confidence there, you know, yeah, okay, you are, like a lot of people with issues, perhaps sometimes too self-deprecating, you know, kind of rein it back a bit. You're there because you deserve to be there. You don't have to keep having that very British constant dig at yourself. And yes, I'm very well. I need to be taking that advice as well sometimes. But is it a thing? You've got that confidence. Kind of move it across a bit. You don't always need to have the face on to be that strong a character. And it also is quite interesting because one of the things, and this will link into obviously. Did you see the coming up next on this one as well?
I probably did, but I can't remember it.
Well,
no,
like
I can't.
Said, there may be a slight spoiler moment, but it's typical editing stuff. Because one of the things that Paul said when we were watching, and this will link into when we talk about his second runway outfit, which was, is that he said it is, oh my God, I hope he doesn't disappear off his own arse and basically become his own worst enemy, get in his head and literally crumble. Because you can absolutely see someone like Lawrence being like that. The coming up next at the end is literally again a clearly edited shot of him appearing to have a complete nervous breakdown during one of the challenges. So it's just like, yeah, called it. You know, you could see it coming. But Lawrence, if you ever do watch this at any point,
let's face it, the UK queens were far more likely might get.
Yeah, true. You are amazing. You are very funny. You absolutely killed that Emma Peel outfit. Crack on, boy. And anyway, second runway outfit.
I would not. Bearing in mind, I'm a different. I'm a short, squat barrel person. I don't know. I would have the confidence to put like latex on me that exactly gave you my entire shape. I would have to have fake boobs. I would have to have, Christ, a corset that more or less killed me.
You have to be cinched to the gods.
I would have to be cinched to the gods. And I'm not being funny. If you can cinch this, well, good luck.
Well, I cinched this, Paul. Come on now. There's always a chance.
There is. The thing is though, so you know,
the thing is, Tom, there's more of you for it to be moved to.
You've got about 7 feet height advantage over me. Neither of us are skinny bitches, and neither of us want to be, which is fine. But yeah, you have got something like 4 feet more from there to the top of your head. You know what I mean? Perhaps a challenge.
Push it up here, and then you can have the boobs. Then just push it all up, and you'll have boobs.
I mean, for the viewers at home, Tom is slightly taller than me, and I'm a lanky piece of shit. So
just imagine me in heels. I'm 7 foot, reaching the heavens.
There you go.
So love Lawrence, love. Yeah. Then Cherry came out in the Freddie Mercury "I Want to Break Free" outfit, which I thought
it's clever.
Good choice. And you know, the look was right,
and it's still drag.
Yeah,
it's been done. That's all I'm saying.
But it's been done.
Yeah,
and
too many times.
Yeah, the Darlington clock. I don't know Darlington. I don't.
Love the outfit. Just didn't understand it.
It reminded me of that film, A Clock with a House in Its Walls. That's not right. House with a Clock in Its Walls?
The one that had Jack
Black and your favourite.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Oh, is it the one that came out recently?
Yeah,
like the magic and stuff.
A year or so ago. Yeah.
Again, based on a series of like young adults.
Yeah. I just saw that, but possibly just because it was a clock.
Yeah, I didn't massively get like steampunk vibes from it. It was
I meant to.
Yeah, it was more sort of just probably basic gothy Victorian for me. I thought it was quite clever. It was really well, but again, it didn't like blow me away. You're basically wearing a black outfit, with a bit of like sort of Victorian gothic.
She could have wore like a top hat with goggles, and just made it more like sort of extravagant male in those times. Yeah. So like with the tight like billowing pants with a really skinny on the bottom, with the tailcoat, and carrying the clock, as then exactly the same but different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
I'd have liked to have seen, because again, I love, as an aesthetic, I love steampunk. I love some of the outfits I've seen for steampunk, sort of buy on these dodgy sort of Facebook adverts. But I'd have liked to have seen like probably more like cogs and gears and stuff. Have something like on the sleeves. Have like sort of some kind of like almost like a tattoo type.
Shoulder pads with cogs or something.
Or even like a cog ruff or something like that.
Yeah. What we needed was a drag version somewhere between Grandfather Clock from The Masked Singer, who I'm still convinced is Matt Smith, and Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast. Put those two together, I can't do it with the elbows, for drag.
Like the new version of Cogsworth.
do that.
Yeah.
I just think, anyway, just my thoughts. Then Veronica, who came out as Boy George, and very, very clearly Boy George, in Boy George's actual fucking shoes. That was impressive. That was pretty cool.
She's sort of flying under the radar for me. Like, I don't know who she is. I haven't got to know who she is, and I feel like
Drag,
she's not.
I just see Cheryl Hole here.
Yeah.
I see a Cheryl Hole cross between Courtney Act.
Yeah.
Slap them together with the big bow and the pink dress entrance look. That was very
I
Courtney
want
Act.
to say as well, out of drag, and again, this kind of ties in with the whole flying under the radar thing, and it's going to be really bad because I can't actually bloody remember his name now, which is, yes, I can. She actually reminds me of Miss Cracker.
Yes, yeah, with the bow tie and the
So, and again, out of drag, it's that not necessarily so much in the the obvious looks, but again, it's that kind of geeky, almost kind of like, again, self-deprecating, inward-looking, sort of shy sort of personality, but very much in terms of that flying under the radar thing, which is, I think Veronica is a lot cleverer with her drag than she's actually kind of really showing at the moment. I mean, yes, we got into that with the Boy George, which again, with the actual shoes, again, very clever, because you're literally doing drag of someone who has made a career out of being sort of, of playing with sort of gender bender stereotypes and all that sort of stuff, and who did considerably better than his counterpart Marilyn from that same era. But I don't think we've seen everything that Veronica can show us at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that ties in with second runway, which to me was just, you're basically just
the rose thing needed explaining.
Yeah.
When she came out in the Boy George outfit, I just thought, is this a fancy dress party? Like, what's drag about it? You're just dressed up as Boy George. You're not exactly making it your own. And when she came out in the runway, I was like, are you trying to be that one from The Greatest Showman? The opera singer? Like,
yeah.
It's just the hair, the dress. I was just like, what's...
Pedestrian, it was the word I would use. Yeah.
Pedestrian going to a really fancy ball.
Yeah. I mean, I would kill for a hoop dress that big. I can't lie.
Same.
So basically,
I don't know if we'd be able to fit on the Savoy stage, mind, Paul,
You'd be one side, I'd be the other. I'd be, who the fuck are there? You'd have Fred and Pete at the back going, well, you two move. We'd be like, no.
We can't.
We can make you an inch cap. Come on.
just come and stand in the front. You'll be fine. The kids will spit at you. So yes, absolutely. I think basically one thing I am learning through these videos is Tom and I are basically getting a wish list together for how we want Cinderella to look, because the first thing I was watching it and I texted Tom and said, oh my God, Rue's dress, we have to have this for Ugly Sisters this year, because that's, fingers crossed, how it's all going, if COVID does one. So if anyone out there thinks they can recreate that on me and Tom, please get in touch. Our budget is piss all, but we'll work something out.
Or find me a fabric and cut out the template. I'll sew the rest.
Yeah, exactly. If you could just tell us where to get the fabric and roughly what, Tom can sort the rest out.
Yeah.
Hell's bells.
Stunning.
Yeah. So then we have Ahura, who did do Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah.
And very obviously Vivienne Westwood, but again, I'm going to label it pedestrian. It was fine. And yes, to talk in sort of previous jobs of mine, it answered the brief, but it didn't knock my socks off.
I didn't like the makeup for Vivienne Westwood. I kind of get what Ahura was probably going for, which was that kind of like punk fuck you attitude, and again, because Vivienne herself was always very much, she had an interesting approach to makeup. But that's the thing. Vivienne Westwood had a very distinctive style of makeup, and it was almost that Regency face mask, plastered white with the very penciled in eyebrows. Sort of Ahura literally just looked like she'd basically been hit by Homer Simpson's makeup gun on a slightly wonky setting. Like literally just like, it didn't work.
It was all in the training. She just went, and that's how maybe that's how it works. I don't know. didn't love it. And then I've got a personal vendetta against Worksop. It has to be said, because my housemate from uni was from Worksop, and I would take him home at the end of every term, and every single time, and not even the same car, different cars would break down. So I've just been stuck in Worksop as a poor student with no money and no AA cover, driving around different garages, beg, stealing, and borrowing, offering favours to try and get my car fixed. Oh, my battery's starting to go.
Yeah.
And basically, being told, hit it with a hammer. Not hitting my car with a hammer. I hit it with a hammer and it started. So what do I know about cars? But so I've got a vendetta against Worksop anyway. However, if I thought the previous Robin Hood was a panto, this one was an amateur panto in the village hall where Maud has made all the costumes left over from last year's wrappings from a Quality Street in.
Either that, or she's gone on to like some Amazon website and she's ordered it and tried to slim fit it to her personal style.
The sexy Peter Pan outfit one is the kind of vibe I
Yes, yeah.
I thought she was actually coming out as Peter Pan initially. I think that's
Yeah.
what you actually made.
Yeah, it was very.
And it's like, it's like, it did not get Robin Hood from that. And ironically, for all of the bitching and slagging off of Tia Coffee's outfit we did, I did genuinely get she's trying to be something from Robin Hood.
Sexy Robin Hood.
Yeah. Did not get that sort of from a horror's outfit. It was basically sexy gender bending Peter Pan.
As we were talking about in the previous episode, if you call it an episode, where we were reviewing the US version, and we were saying there's always a baddie of the season. I think it's a horror because she just every moment she had, she was sort of picking on someone's look or something that they've done, and I'm like, get over yourself. Come on, it's a competition, but you know, you
She's
still
from
gotta be
Worksop.
friendly. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I think she even positions herself as that because I think when we're having the first thing, she talks about how she's an absolute shady bitch. I think she's someone who basically, for whatever reason, she wants to lean into that. And that's fine. If you want to be the shady bitch of the season, if you want to be, for want of a better phrase, the Raja of season 3 US Drag Race, where you think you're all that. The thing is, Ahura, Raja was all that
and won.
Yeah. I don't think you will, to be honest.
You froze a little bit then.
Oh. And the other thing as well, of course, is that British audiences, certainly, I think the British style of the show means that probably won't translate as well for you outside of the show as it might have done in the States.
It's an odd thing because we have this America is a very upbeat positive thing, whereas we are, we're the panto. We like to boo and hiss a villain. You go back and look at, and I went to 30 odd Big Brother evictions and stand in that crowd of 400 people, 500 people, and then as the show got more popular, 2,000 people, and the person coming out, regardless, it's very rare for them not to got booed to high heavens. And I used to stand there and I would say, I can't do it. I can't boo someone. A, I don't really know. And B, be it in jest or whatever. I just imagine if I was there because my sister was in the house and she was coming out and all these people go, boo, oh, you slag. I'd slit all their throats. And I got to think that is someone's son, daughter, sister, mother, lover, whatever it is. And I think that's kind of, but I think what you're getting at is that's the British mentality. Is we live for the villains, we live for the booing and the hissing. But I think it unnecessary. But I think it just goes a bit too far. It goes mob mentality. And then actually, what you find is like how many people have come off of Love Bollocks and killed themselves because what they don't have because when we do our very fickle thing of and I always say this, it's brilliant, like Eurovision, when I'm into Eurovision 2 days later you ask me any of the acts, I go, I forgot, they're nothing to me. Same with Big Brother. You know, while you were in Big Brother, I was all about everyone in that house. Come a month after the final show, dead to me, nothing. And I think that's kind of how we work. And what we now do is we create these celebrities and we give them this dangling golden carrot. And then the minute they're not in vogue, they're not popular, or they've just bored me on Instagram for 2 days on the trot, we drop them. And it's dangerous. And you know, people have taken their own lives over it. But that's why I think we build these baddies. And I think Ahura is kind of doing that whole position herself as that baddie for that reason, because she knows that as long as she is, and as long as she's creating tea and drama and shade, the producers will keep her. It will work. She'll remain in as long as there's good content coming out of her reactions. Again, it's the Fifi story. You know, so I just think I get that if that's the game she's playing, fine. But I just hope she can properly cope with the other side of it. Yeah, I think it's a dangerous position to put yourself in. I'd rather go 2 episodes early and win Miss Congeniality than be in the final. But no, I'm never really going to win because I'm the twat of the season.
Yeah.
The Miss Congenialities, you know, certainly from the US shows. I still probably remember, in some cases, I remember Miss Congeniality more than I remember the actual winner of that season.
Nina West?
Yeah.
Katya?
Yeah.
Fan favourites, Valentina.
And that's exactly it, because certainly the way it's positioned, I think, in the States to get Miss Congeniality is that you kind of stand out essentially for basically being an absolute decent human being. You support your sisters. You bring something to you bring the heart to the show, essentially. And that's something that not necessarily even the finalists and the winners necessarily do. Yeah, they win it because they are amazing at X or they stood out in Y. But for the Miss Congeniality, it's like you basically were this consistent, essentially this consistent presence for good throughout the run of that season. So that I think that's your ticket for longer term success is be the queen that everyone loves. Doesn't matter how good you are or how innovative you are or whatever your shtick is, be the queen that everyone loves just
because then they'll pay money to come and see your shows.
Yeah.
I mean, let's boil it down. Right, I'm conscious we've been going for like nearly an hour on this one. So Sister, which to me is always going to be that show that was on like Nickelodeon or whatever back in the day. Dusty Springfield.
Too safe. Way too safe.
Yeah, and also it was weird. I just saw Lady Bunny doing Dusty Springfield, which when they even commented, you realise that's who Lady Bunny is based on. I was like, I'd never thought about it, but fucking hell, of course it is. Do you know what? But yeah, if she stood in front of me and you tell me it's Dusty, I go, yeah, it's Dusty. If she stood in front of me and said, who's she being?
I'd assume she was being What's the Face that had the song a few years back, who was also, I think, from Liverpool. And it was like,
Cilla Black?
No. But she went for that. Oh, you got me begging you for mercy.
You got me begging you for mercy. Isn't that
Duffy?
She's Welsh.
Yeah,
she's Welsh.
But she has that same style because she went for that very dusty style.
It was that kind of 60s look.
Yeah. I wouldn't have necessarily like you said, this is a sister. It's just, and even some of the the judges' feedback is if you're doing Dusty, play with it, and that's I think what she missed from that. It's like, I mean, it technically good, it ticked boxes, but it didn't have like the wow factor. It didn't have anything that makes it stand out from the rest.
Yeah, it's like a lot of them. I've said like, just give me that little bit extra. Like, I know who the character is, and I know who you're meant to be, but make it extra and campy and draggy. Like, if I wanted to see the actual character, then I'll probably go and watch it. But if you're going to be them, but you're a drag queen, enlarge it, like, a bit, like,
everything through a lens. Everything through a lens.
Yeah.
Her Liverpool look, however, I was unfortunate enough once to catch something like 10 minutes of Scouse Housewives or whatever they're called, Desperate Scousewives, whatever the of these reality. Oh, terrible. Mersey slags. Basically, that's what that. But the two characters, they were sat there, right? So I'm gonna tell you the scene I saw. I can't remember why it was on. It was also just following on from something else I was watching, or I was waiting for something else.
Right.
Or no, I don't think. Anyway, and it was basically they looked exactly like she looked. So that look was nailed, right? And they were on this big four-poster bed, flicking through a magazine, going, "Yeah, no, yeah," and then this weird kooky music kicked in. They both sat there going, and I just thought, "The fuck is what? What is this?" I turned it off. But that's what they looked like. They were in the same pink pajamas. They had the same rollers, and it was terrible. I mean, it was just the worst piece of TV I've ever seen. And but as a look, I get it. I know exactly what she was doing. If she'd come out and you told me nothing else, I'd have been. There was this one time I accidentally ended up watching Bollocks Scousewives or whatever it was called, and that's what. So it would have worked. Is what I'm saying. Brief answered, yes. And then what was our other one? Oh, that was it. That's from Liverpool. That was it. Yeah. And we've got nothing else to say about them because I had the best story ever.
Yeah. The end.
Then you had Ellie Diamond. Is that what that says? He can read my writing. I cannot. Mine says Ellie. Lily Savage. Tom, you're far too young to have really lived.
Yeah, but you know, I do my research.
Oh, you've seen. But you've got to bear in mind is I used to go out and buy the new Lily Savage video on a Monday morning from Sainsbury's when it came out. I'm that era, and
Loved it.
I think
I loved it.
there's something missing these days that Paul doesn't do Lily anymore. I get that Paul O'Grady had done it and like my housemate, the one from Worksup, went and saw Lily in the musical of Prisoner Cell Block H. I was mortified I missed that. Because I mean, Christ, it's like heaven, isn't it? But yeah, Lily, the wig and the look was there. The dress wasn't right for me for Lily. There was too much of it. Lily would have been a bit more. You got to remember, this was this. You know, for those of you who don't remember Lily Savage, for God's sake, what are you doing? Go and look it up. But Lily was a chain-smoking, foul-mouthed whore, essentially, from the Wirral, who suddenly became primetime and was hosting the Big Breakfast out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And it was just such an odd juxtaposition. You know, and in one of her own tours, she said it was odd that she'd be, you know, gigging at night, sort of in a pub, sort of, you know, whatever, and then she'd get pissed, have about 2 hours sleep, so I wake up, and the next thing she's running around at the breakfast garden with a chicken under her arm, saying, "Don't phone, it's just for fun."
And interestingly, that's who I'm thinking of, because like she obviously talks about the rest of the big cars, like the rest of we're taking it out, and then
Rosalind,
like birds something on the top, and then there's at the back in the scale of a 4 to 10 hangover, the darling is a bit like but that show, the outfit she wears in that is basically
chiffon nice,
and it's literally the big one with the big like sort of feather bowery sleeves around over the end of the sleeves, the end of the train. She's wearing like slightly high-heeled but poofy sort of slippers type thing, and very little else, and it's a proper like sheer chiffon number. That's the type of outfit that Ellie should have gone for. She was wearing too much.
But with Ellie, she is a tall queen. She's 2 inches shorter than me. Yeah. So when she came out with the little like exposed leg, I was like, that dress is not for her. Simply because it made her look all leg, no bust.
Yeah. Completely.
But now that you've said about the feathers and stuff, if she had that around the like hem of the dress and around the sleeves that she already had on, I feel like that would have been more Lily Savage of her.
Absolutely. It would have just adjusted that fit issue that you just talked about, because it would have just given you that extra inches.
Yeah.
And also, I think just iconically would have screamed Lily that little bit more.
Yeah.
And then she did the Dennis the Menace thing, which I thought was quite cute. And Again, you got it straight away. I didn't love it like the panel seemed to, honestly.
Problem is, she came out in the same style dress as she came out in the workroom. It's exactly the same style with the cut out of the crotch. I did get Dennis the Menace from it, but I feel like she could have played on the bottom half instead of it being, because she made it out like Dennis the Menace to be like a bit of a fetish show because of the PVC, and the pencil skirt. I was like, oh, that's a children's comic. Like, why are you doing that to it?
If you take away one thing from this video, take away this phrase: nobody's wanking over the Beano. I hope. Oh my God! What if someone is? Oh!
Come here out there. Destroying your childhood memories.
Anytime. But the other thing is I mean, I don't know who else should have done from the Beano. Dennis is obviously he's the cover star of the Beano. But you've got like Beryl with Peril, Minnie the Minx. You've got all of the Bass Street Kids. Who else you got? I don't know, but I think there was possibly...
she could have come out as Nasha. Imagine like massive furry shoulders and like furry arms, like a poodle with the fur around her wrists and her ankles.
Cruella de Vil got hold of Nasha. That's what she should have done.
Yeah. But then that would have been like, a bit hard to look at, basically, or figure out what it was meant to be.
Yeah, maybe. But again, Graham Norton would have got it. Liz Hurley would have got it. Have Michelle or Rue ever read the Beano?
No, because they are Dennis the Menace is blonde and wears dungarees.
Yeah. I've seen the American Dennis, and it's not the same at all.
It's quite funny, but it's not our Dennis the Menace. I remember Nasha, the red and black with like the very cartoony style drawing.
Yeah,
and it's like I remember watching on TV, reading the comics. Obviously, the comics before the TV, but. Yeah, I did get Dennis the Menace, but I feel like she could have gone somewhere else with it.
Yeah. So finally, we come to our homegrown queen, Tace, our little Welsh baby, who also did Naomi Campbell. But to me, that was pissed over the other Naomi Campbell, if I'm totally honest. I thought she wore it to herself better. I thought she got... it was like you were saying, Tom, about when they put up the picture of that actual look that you're basing it on, and you kind of went, well, you can see Naomi through it, you can't see you through it. This one, you got straight away which look it was. It was there. It was nailed. And yeah, I mean, it didn't massively blow me away. I'll be completely honest. But if you were going to have a Naomi off, I'd choose this one.
Again,
problem.
Go on.
Problem is I had with Tace is that hair. She wore the same wig for the entrance look, for the photo shoot, and for the first runway. She was like, change it up. Like, no one wants a flick of the hair like every 20 minutes. So it's like, if she keeps on with that wig, I'm gonna have to say no. Bye.
Yeah.
I know you're Welsh, but
yeah,
you're getting pushed off. Sorry, hon.
And then obviously she tried to represent Newport. Now, while I adore the outfit, and I think for what it was doing, nailed it. It was just Wales. That wasn't Newport.
No.
That was the entire nation, the entire principality, because it's our flag, for those of you who wouldn't know. And I would hope everyone would know that, actually, but maybe not. But, coming out in the Welsh Dragon, I'm just thinking...
I'm not from Newport, and I've only ever been like twice. But how would you do Newport? A bunch of chavs in tracksuits.
I'll be back in just one moment. You explain.
I'm bleeding.
Oh God!
I've just scratched my leg and it's just bleeding an awful lot. It'll be fine, I'm sure. So while he goes and gets me a tissue. Now this is the thing, right? So Newport, obviously, I am very familiar with because my job, my previous job, took me travelling a lot. I used to have to go to meetings all over Wales. So I am very familiar with Newport. I've got an ex who's from Newport, and we used to have to go and visit family there. And currently, our preferred cinema, when they're open, is in Spitty Park in Newport, because it's the Cineworld there has been done up beautifully. I highly recommend it.
It's lush.
So lush. There you go. There's Welsh for you.
It's
Um,
lush.
In fact, I said there's Welsh for you, not that's Welsh for you, which in itself is another Welsh.
Well, I should point out that lush is also Somersetian.
Yeah,
It's Gert lush.
all right. So there are plenty of things about Newport. The Amber Army is Newport County's football team. The Gwent Dragons. Okay, granted we had the dragon, but you could have done more with that. And again, doing something rugby is extremely Welsh. But you've also got there are a couple of things. So the Celtic Manors in Wales. I don't know how you'd have done that, to be fair. But it was home to the Ryder Cup in 2010. You could have done a golf thing. But for me, it would have been, I call it the Kylie Bridge, because it looks just like the CGI bridge that Kylie drives over at the start of the video for Can't Get You Out of My Head. But there's that. And then you've got the Transporter Bridge, which is a very famous, Google Newport Transporter Bridge. There would have been something girdery you could have done. I just think that there are Newport things. I think to go for like a Welsh pride thing, if that had been a Welsh pride task or a show us your country, hell, boom, done. But if you were trying to specifically show Newport rather than Wales, there's nothing there that's Newport that isn't also Cardiff, Swansea, Monmouth, Wrexham, Anglesey. Do you know what I mean? I'll go around the country.
The funniest thing that I've taken from her from that episode is the fact that she can't actually speak Welsh, because
Really?
most of the words that she said were all wrong. Every single one of them, the translation was wrong as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, no.
And can we just say for the record, and only because I've had this conversation many times, Popty Ping is not Welsh for microwave.
It is in North. It is
It's
up
a
north.
colloquialism. It's a colloquialism, though.
But it's
An urban legend
microdon,
that's
isn't
become a thing. It was never actually the proper translation
No.
well, Popty is indeed, yes, the bakery. Putting Ping on the end of the bastard microwave does not make it so. I'm not a Welsh speaker. I know the little bit I know, but
to make our Welsh viewers happy, I'm sure it's microdon, isn't it? Is it microdon?
I think it is. It's something very similar to that.
Yeah,
we had a big conversation
sure.
when I worked at Capital. We had a massive conversation about it, and so I properly delved into its history. And it basically it's essentially slang is the best way to describe it. But it was never originally the correct terminology or phrase. It just urban legend put it into the language.
And Salseg is English, isn't it? Or Sglodion's English, something like that.
Is it? I thought Slodion was chocolate. No.
No.
No. Okay, fine. I've got that wrong then.
Saesneg is English, I think. Like that, it's translates to English.
Yeah.
And then Salseg is sausage.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what else she said. What did she say? Nothing. Okay.
I think it was the first three. It was Popty Ping, sausage, and then she says the third thing, but I can't remember what that's for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And two of them is like the wrong way round, basically. Or like, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, as a Welsh
lessons are available. I mean, Paul and I are English people who live in Wales, but my friend Di's, Welsh language is literally his life because that's his job. He translates. So we've gone on for over an hour. I said, let's make the video shorter this week.
Yeah. It's the first episode. We're allowed to talk.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to get through.
Yeah, we're still shorter than the episode itself. Are we under an hour and 10?
I don't know. We might not be.
We're still potentially shorter than the first episode. Drag Race. Depending on how this gets edited.
There's not a lot of editing going on. I can be bothered. So there we are. So that's the UK Queens. I've not got an obvious winner right now. Just see where it goes. I mean, there's a lot more of them than last year, isn't there? Is there? It felt like it. Perhaps there isn't. I want to say there was only like 8 at the start of last year's.
No, there was 10, wasn't it?
Was it 10?
Yeah. How many is this year?
Counting the bit of paper now. Going down the list.
13.
13.
So it's gone to the more US
It's
stuff
gone more
now.
to the US thing. So yeah.
Excellent.
Well, I think the other thing to note is clearly this episode was filmed pre-COVID.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at some point, we know this. I don't know. Was it like 2 episodes in or something?
I thought they started filming it and then they had to cut it and then they
Yeah.
carry on COVID like shields, masks,
Which
and
is
everything.
actually really jarring when you're kind of watching it side by side with obviously the US
Yeah,
run,
Yeah.
where they are obviously post COVID restrictions, and you suddenly cut back to the UK one, and it's just like they're all in the same room. The judges are like literally sat like us. Just like,
And there was no like everything else is like this was recorded before pandemic. Blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
There wasn't a warning about it.
no.
I mean, I think you need to. I think that's common sense. But it's just interesting that they seem to need to put it in some places and not others. Yes, let's just see where the season goes.
hopefully it's good.